and the role action. I'm almost done, Rich. Let me finish. And doing no stop part to this renaissance of information that is going through the entire world and giving people access to information and data that they never had before. And so now this is growing in the hearts and minds of people who want to know more, some for good, some for bad, some for unity, some for not, about Zionism and about its influence. Now, if you guys go watch, there's a major documentary on YouTube that you watch about Zionism and their influence in Hollywood. Majority of those major corporations, from Warner Brothers to Sony to MGM to Lionsgate, a lot of these are founded by Zionists and by people who essentially had background and involvement in the propaganda of those times. So a lot would even say that American culture itself have been manufactured by Zionist visionaries, visionaries who had and embraced those American values themselves. And see, now this is where we start to unify our communities instead of destroy our communities. I believe in my heart of hearts, after my studies, that these people who came to America really did have a desire to see the American dream manifest, and they used their platforms, Hollywood being one of them, to manufacture this illusion of a real American dream. And I think that in one regard, it can be considered admirable. But we can't judge a tree. We have to judge the fruit of the tree and the outcome of those actions. Those people who own these companies may have had a pure mind and heart to do things for their community and for this nation. They may have, but what's the outcome of their actions? Did you guys know, for example, that there is a Birth of a Nation, the film, which is early 1900s film about the Klan, was actually manufactured by Zionists in Hollywood. And this is a very influential movie, right? And a real propagandist movie. And it's not, hold on a second, I'm almost done. Okay, I'm almost done. That, along with many other different, if you will, Hollywood films. We can say bad, we can say good. No community is immune to doing bad and good. So we're going to be objective here. There have been a lot of Hollywood efforts in Hollywood by Zionists to essentially utilize other communities and try to interconnect with other communities to create this American dream. Unfortunately, sometimes those things go awry. When you, for example, do movies in blackface, or when you essentially utilize black talent and monetize off of black talent, it becomes, you go from a state of desire to dependency, and then things get corrupt. So I'm not saying that these people are all wicked or all righteous. We'll let you guys be the judges of essentially their works. But I will say this: Zionism is a much broader, right? A much broader and more global, influential political agenda that has to be also considered when you talk about the continental United States and its influence on Hollywood. So I just wanted to mix the pot a little bit. Let us engage in the Hollywood conversation, and then we'll keep moving the goalposts. Okay. So at least tell us before, can you just explain to me what blackface is? Hang on a second. Please tell them what made this up. D.W. Griffiths has nothing said, sir. D.W. Griffiths. I just made the link in the chat. You're incorrect. I have the information right here. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, guys. Well, I would agree that, though. I want to know what is blackface. I don't know if I would know what's blackface. So I'm relatively young. I wouldn't know what that is. So blackface is when a person who's white paints their face black, and they sometimes
Prince Harry also did blackface. It's not just a Jewish thing. It is in no way Jewish.
I'm sorry. First and foremost, once again, this is where I have concern with Zionists. No accountability for their own actions. Stop bringing other communities up when we hold you accountable. Hold yourself accountable only for something that we did, not for something you just read. I have countless evidence that they've done countless films of blackface. I'm going to pull them up. I'm going to bring the evidence down. Give me a second, Richard. I'm going to retrieve the evidence now. So if you want to respond to the topic, the floor is yours now, and then that's going to be the public maker now. Are you going to speak L or not? Because we can move on to the next person. Just let me know.
All right.
Sorry, it's my turn. Excuse me a second. Can I just reserve my turn, please? I'm at a restaurant. I can't. Well, but I will talk. Well, you continue to talk over people, and everybody have an opportunity to talk. You have nothing to say. No, I'm just inserting. I'm just correcting the lies. I'm not talking over anybody.
I just
Notice how white people always correct instead of themselves. They never correct themselves when they make a mistake. Only the lies. They correct people. Only the lies.
I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to say, is that, guys, majority of Zionists are not Jews. So when people keep bringing up Judaism, I don't understand why they keep saying that. When if you look at the stats, majority of Zionists are not Jews. Jews have nothing to do with this political Zionist agenda.
That is correct.
Majority.
Can
I finish? Majority
of to speak about us.
Okay, I'm not speaking.
Hey, Richard, it's her turn to speak.
Yes,
What I'm trying to say is that
last time. It's her turn to speak.
so majority of the people that support this agenda are and everyone knows this, evangelical Christians in America that pump money and push lobbies to give more weapons to Israel and continue the occupation. So we need to understand, people need to know that Judaism and Zionism are separate, and do not allow people to conflate the two. Out.
They're inseparable. First and foremost, I want to say the two, while they are separate, are also inseparable. And this is very important to note that the term Zion comes from the Bible. And the Bible is about Judaism. The practice of Judaism is a foundation stone for Zionism. The Zionists that are born into Judaism are born from their matriarchal lineage according to their beliefs, which do not reflect the whole belief of Judaism, but it represents the small minority community's ideology about what it means to be Jewish. So we got to get that correct. The Zionist identity may not be religious in itself, but it has produced a religious movement, and it also comes from the roots of a religious belief system. So we can't negate the two. The two are separate and yet inseparable. Just like a man and a woman may be two separate individuals, and yet they may be inseparable.
No, I disagree, because Jews been living, many Jews do not associate themselves with Zionists. And this is what Jewish people say, and my Jewish friends are anti-Zionist. So I think it's problematic when you inflate them, because it's like when you critique Zionism, people automatically assume we're critiquing Jewish people. When I condemn anti-Semitism. I condemn anyone that kinds of that disrespect Jews and their religion and so on. However, that's why I like to separate them, the two, because I want to make it distinct that I have nothing to do like critiquing Jews and what they are. You know what I mean? Or critiquing the state.
If I go and I want to address Kamala Harris, you better believe that her husband is going to get involved. She's a black woman, and she's an matter of fact, 20,000 or 30,000 more thousand Jews were met not too long ago in a protest against Zionism. And so, yes, we understand that, but we also understand too that hand in hand, for example, it's just like saying black and African American, right? We understand that we can distinguish these two groups as two separate groups, and yet that we can find the one group inside of the other group, right? But if you were to talk about this individual group, you'd have to say African American to distinguish them. We understand the semantics that Kamala Harris plays when she uses the term black instead of African American. We understand that. So we understand the what we call terminology, and we're privy to that. But we have to call a spade a spade. We can't just go with rhetoric. We have to go with scholarship. You may believe that in your heart, but the fact of the matter is, the two are separate. One is a political movement, and one is what we call a religious practice. But they are all in an ethno group. So I can clarify. But the two are also separate. And
Can you make clear that we're not criticizing like that Jews and Jewish?
Well, that's why the term is Zionist up there instead of Jewish. If we were criticizing Jewish people, we would say Jewish up there instead of Zionist. But there is a distinction for that purpose. Does that satisfy what you're saying, Empress?
Okay. Can I just add something? You said Kamala again. Did you say Kamala Harris?
Yeah, you say Kamala Harris, who is multi-ethnic, but claiming that she's black and claiming that she's Indian, and which it would be better for her to say I'm black and Indian instead of saying I'm black when she's around black people, and then get around Indian people say, hey, by the way, I'm Indian. That's convenient.
Well, isn't she with a white fella?
She's with a Jewish fella who is a Zionist, who is pushing for all Jewish, according to the census, are considered white.
No, it's like the much.
Yes, they are. In 1700s, the Jewish community was put on the census in the United States as white.
Well, in England, but in England, see, when they say white, I say Jewish, or don't class themselves as white, they accept that.
So here's the deal, right? We're talking about the 1770s census. According to that census, when Jewish people were trying to integrate into American society and culture, they themselves went before our government and they were registered as white in this land, and they benefited from the white privilege. So to say that they're not white is nonsensical. Most people that come to this nation, even Indian, are registered as white. Does that mean they're white? No, of course they're not. Because according to their racial heritage and their skin tone complexion, they can be more closely related to black. And yet, in the census, and according to what they can benefit from, they're considered white.
Can you name the Jews?
Yes, I'll put them.
You've got any Jews, brother, fucking you.
Jews in America used to be considered white Jews, European Jews exclusively. They considered Hebrews in their before the 1920s. It would be before the 19th. I think you said that, if I remember correctly. I'll put some research in the chat. It'll show.
I'll just finish that. I'll ask something. What the fuck, to you, what the fuck a Hebrew person, that's, what defines a Hebrew person for you?
Okay, so Hebrew is a race. If you go back to the Bible, you'll see that Canaan was the descendant of Ham, and that Canaan's descendants mixed with Shem. That's why they call it Shemites. That's why the language is Afro-Shemitic. If you look at the Latin territory that was given to the descendants of Canaan, it's from the Nile to the Euphrates. The Nile is clearly the heart of Africa. So we can clearly see that these people, these original Hebrews, because remember, Jacob was renamed Israel. Israel is not a location. These are people. Wherever those people should go, that's where Israel is. So to be clear, they were Hebrew before they were Israelites. They were, but prior to being
for instance, like people say that once upon a time the Middle East was West Africa, right? So we know borders of countries and continents change all the time throughout history. This is just called civilization, the rise and fall of wars and rise and fall of civilizations. Now, that's what you're holding this on, because it was once in a certain place. Because again, remember there was hieroglyphics fact in Egypt. Look it up. It's there. It shows a set of 4 people. It shows the black Africans, which are Nubians. It shows Egyptians that look awfully Arab.
You know, the thing is Arab. Arab's language system. Arabic is a language system. It's not a look. You can't
But that's what people, Arabs, those Arabs are. But that's over there. I don't want to go off topic. So then there's 2 others. There's the Asia, and then there's the white. So we know at this time Egypt had 4 different ethnic groups there already. Right? So that's number 1. Then it also differentiates the Egyptians to the Africans. Because of the look. So have a look at it. It's there. Right? See that?
The Bible says in Genesis that we came from the Gihon, which you know, the Ethiopian. The first 2 rivers, the Gihon and the Gihon, that can be used as a compass. You see, science also clearly says all human beings come from Africa. The Bible talks about
you understand, like, we find, like, Homo erectus, when you say different skeletons. You do understand, right?
And you do understand that the oldest was found in Africa, right?
The oldest was found in
Nile Valley tradition, Nile Valley religion, spirituality was given to Europeans not too long ago. You guys just crawled out of your cave, so I don't know why you continue to act as if
Hang on. You just said that, right? So,
no,
I think it's the opposite, right?
The Moors conquered Spain and domesticated the European people with their pigs and dogs, get their dogs in the mouth like they do today. And these black people had to come and tell them, hey, yo, that's not sanitary. If you look at the Grecians who studied the Egyptians, as a matter of fact, the original Grecians were black and melanated, as well as the Romans. One of the best Roman kings that ever served is Septimius Severus. And he served the rest of the Alright, I'm done with Septimius Severus is the Carthaginians were black as well as the Phoenicians. This language system we're speaking now is the Sidonians reference in the Bible. And sir, all of this stuff comes from Africa science. I don't know why. This is why I don't understand. This is why I don't understand. So that's true. Right? It's not cut me off when I'm talking. I don't want to yell back and forth with you. I want to continue to have respect for each other. I know we get in our emotions sometimes. But saying this is not true is not a good or scholarly argument.
If I could prove it with history, so I'm saying,
by all means, Carthage was eventually taken over by Rome, and when it was taken over by Rome, it became a province of Rome. And while it was a province of Rome, Severus Septimius, who was a citizen in this province, eventually through his citizenship in Rome, rose to be king of Rome, and he was one of the most revered kings in Roman history. I'm going to go ahead and pull his name up. His name is Septimius Severus, and he ruled as well as his descendants ruled for 7+ generations. I'm going to go ahead and put his information here. Of course, they use whitewash. Of course, they try to hide the truth. The facts are facts. If you do your due diligence, you'll see what I'm saying is true. If he's from Carthage, then there's a guarantee he's black. Sidonians are black. The phonetic alphabet is black, and you can even look at his Afro-Asiatic cousins from Amharic to Aramaic to Ge'ez to Proto-Syriac to Hebrew. They are all Afro-Semitic language systems. This is not. You cannot question this scholarship. I'll give you absolute facts.
Jesus Christ, no, you have just like literally the good. Hang on, bring up a picture of statue of Septimius Severus. Bring up a statue. That'd be fine.
Let's bring up the picture of Jesus Christ that they use Cesare Borgia.
Oh, see what you're doing? See what you're doing there?
Bring up the Severus is from Carthage. He's a black man.
Because someone
Very easy for you to find this information.
So anyone can be born anywhere, brother. You know this. A black man can be born in China. It's not Chinese. So, Mike, the point is you're being disingenuous. It's very sneaky. You're a blackwashing all of this. But we know it's multiple cultural racism accredited to many good things to the world. You're trying to change it all. This is not good. It's not right. It's not healthy. It's not academic. It's not honest. It's not truthful. Septimius Severus was Roma. He was a European man. Fact.
Where did he come from? Before he was in Rome, where did he come from?
So, hang on. Can a European be born in Africa?
Did he come from Carthage, yes or no?
Yes, but can someone be born in a different country but still be a different race?
Did you know that his ancestry is Libyan, Punic, and Roman? Did you know that, sir?
Libya, right?
And Libya is where?
On the peninsula, they don't work.
On the peninsula? No, it's in Africa, buddy.
No, it's on the peninsula.
You're trying to avoid Africa like a tic-tac-toe game.
No, what you're doing is Africa is full of different cultures and ethnicities. It's not one ethnicity.
You're
Eritrea.
You can't stand the fact that black people contributed to history. You can't stand the fact that you're saying that my ancestors speak. You can't stand the fact that the historians are black. You haven't proved anything. I just said put up a picture of it. Put up a statue. Statue that they carved is going to give us the accurate. You're not being intellectually honest. And you say, well, as a discussion point, you're not accepting facts because it proves you're wrong. Where's the humbleness? Where's the grace? That's the way for you to make a point of scholar. My point is I just showed you we're wrong on multiple things. Palestine, you haven't I read Ukraine saying everywhere was black for some reason. It's stupid. I said Rome, when it was conceived, was black. That's not true. Okay. So the Grecians weren't black. Again, were the Greeks black? Yes, they were. No, they wasn't. Why are you lying again? Oh my God. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I cannot believe this. You have to be honest. You're trolling me. You have to be trolling me. So you have to be. Septimius Severus was born in Leptis Magna, a city in the Roman province of Africa. Roman Silurius. He was Libyan. Now to talk about ethnicity. He was Libyan in Punic descent, and the Punics were black descent on his father's side, with possible Berber. Even Berber, you don't know they use the term Berber, which is also Northern African, right? And his mother was likely Italian, Roman origin. So now you're seeing that he's multi-ethnic. North Africa during Severus' time had a mix of indigenous Berber, Punic, and Roman populations. So they're telling you that this is a normal thing historically. Severus had a dark complexion, is what they write in the Roman history of Cassius Dio, referred to Severus as of dark skin and heavy set. The description, along with his North African origins, lead them to classify him as black is classified today. Okay, so Rome, for those that may not know, for those that are in the know, Rome is a multi-ethnic. It's an ancient America where people from many ethnicities came and lived. And from time to time, a black ethnic leader would rise and rule Rome. I think that white supremacists have a problem with black people rising and ruling ancient territories and realms, and that's why they use blatant, what we would call willful ignorance, benign neglect, right, and their cognitive dissonance sets in, so that they can never see anything black as progressive or leading, and that's where you reveal to the entire crowd yourself that you're a racist.
Oh, you're a racist. You literally tried whitewash it.
I'm walking history, or I'm telling you.
You can't play that part. You cannot play that part when you're being racist yourself. It's disgusting. It's the double standards, and no one will take you seriously if you're going to play that part. Because again, white point is key. Fundamental. Right? So let's bring up an argument which disproves you. The Roman Emperor held as a black prince, even though he wasn't black. Licinius Septimus Severus has been included in teachings and materials for children's books. The Roman Emperor who spared of numerous black princes was not black. It shows through history. So my point is again, my friend, you're the racist, you're the one that hates Jews, you hate Zionists, you hate white people, credit anything good. And lastly, and this is the last bit, right? And this is important, is Africa was so intelligent and it was so built up civilization. Why was it easy for the English to come in and take people? Why was it easy for the Europeans to conquer? No. You need to get this. If you're so smart, why was it these stupid white people were able to do this?
Alright, I'm going to ask you a question. Explain. These so-called stupid white people is not what I call them. Number one. Number two, the Asians were the ones that made gunpowder in 800 AD. And the gunpowder was taken by the Europeans. And it was cultivated into weapons and muskets, things that they could have an advantage on other civilizations. But did you know, sir, that one of the last conquered territories on Earth was Africa? As a matter of fact, Europe had dominated almost 90% of the world by the time they finally came to the shores of Africa in the late 1800s. As a matter of fact, the Berlin Conference was in 1884. Europe had already went into Australia. They had already conquered most of the Americas. They had already conquered South America. They had already conquered most of the world. They hadn't even explored all of Africa. There was countless regions that had not even been explored yet on the continent of Africa. So, my friend, and now I'll address or read what you said about me being a racist. So when a black person claims their history, they're racist. That black person wouldn't have to claim their history if the white community hadn't done everything they could to hide our history. If there wasn't a concerted effort, which is well documented, which is a great yeah, so very simple. We all know in this room, whether you like it or not, that codified in law that we were considered 3/5 of a human being in this nation alone. We also know that majority of our work, from the first movie script that was ever made to the cell phone that you have in your hand right now, to the stoplights, red, green, and yellow, to the concrete under your feet, or to the sole of your feet, was made by black people that weren't really credited properly historically for their contributions to humanity. And that was because of what we call the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery. So, in order to maintain a caste system and dominate the entire globe, they had to create a caste system through racism, right? So that they could get to their imperial conquest. So to come here and act like our history hadn't been taken or hidden from us, when you had the nerve to go into Egypt,
Stop lying.
Notice how I've given this man 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10 chances. You'll get one more chance to come up. If you respect the stage, you can stay. If you don't, you can kick rocks with the open toe sandals that I'm sure you probably have on now. anything they can do to move the goalposts of the conversation, they will do.
And notice too how, and everybody does this stuff. Notice how when black people talk about slavery and things of that nature, everybody always tells us to get over it and to shut up. But in the same breath, we can't stop hearing about the Holocaust. We can't stop hearing about things like that. Like it's all right when we talk about the Holocaust. But when we talk about things that bring slavery, when we talk about Jim Crow, when we talk about all these various ways that all these various things that were done to us in trying to correct history, not just our history, but history in general, all of a sudden now we have to get over it. Now it's like stop talking about it. Oh no, y'all don't deserve reparations. Y'all don't deserve this. Y'all need this.
They want sympathy but have no empathy.
Exactly. And also I noticed too how this whole time all you were doing Brother Ross, all you were doing was presenting information and facts to people, and I noticed how everybody always went to blame you, always went to try to say, no, you're being racist, or no, they're trying to say that it's you, but you're just giving them the information, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with, like you said, the facts, the information. But people are quick to get in their feelings and try to start attacking you because they don't like what they hear. So
they don't like their own history. That's why they try to tell it. Every time you talk to one, it's different. But we're proud of our history. Even though we was at the bottom of the barrel, we're still proud of our history because at the end of the day, we have been the strength of the entire planet. And that's fine. We cool with that. We've been in the bottom, but we've been to the top. They love to tell us about our bottom. They don't like to talk about what we was on the top for thousands of years from the ancient times when y'all hadn't even crawled out your caves yet. Now, I got love for all races of people. I'm not a racist person. But let us be clear. When we're talking about Zionism, it is the capstone of white supremacy. Why do I say that? Because imperialism birthed what we know as colonialism. And colonialism birthed what we call racism. And racism birthed what we call fascism. And fascism birthed what we call Nazism. And Nazism birthed what we call Zionism. You ever heard the term hurt people, hurt people? These people, unfortunately, weren't hurt. And now, unfortunately, through Zionism, they are hurting other people. And there's no accountability for it. The world is standing up there. They will tolerate it no longer. We just want you. You can't even acknowledge. It's like a man who gets drunk and beat his wife and his kids. And his wife and kids sit him down for a counseling session. And they want to they love him. They just want him to do right. They just want him to come and start to go to counseling or deal with his drinking problem. But he refuses. He denies, I don't have a drinking problem, blah, 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 blah. He comes and it's the same fucking thing. There's zero accountability whatsoever. And that's the problem that the global community has with planning.
Right. And it's funny because one of the things I've been thinking about too is when it comes to these narratives, the narratives that we're being told. So we were talking about it earlier, whether it's through American media or whether it's through what we grew up hearing in our families and just in our communities and stuff. All of that stuff, we gotta learn how to like get out of that mindset. Because and that goes for whether it's for us like black people or for Jewish people or for whatever, because one of the things I'm noticing is when you're giving people information that you've looked up and studied on, you see how they react. You see how they react to the information that they're giving you, because in their minds they've been ingrained with a certain narrative about their history, or they've been ingrained with certain stories and narratives about things. And so when it's like when you give them information that counteracts that, it's what's the term that it's called when how you react? It's
but not neglect. Or you
cognitive dissonance. So they start going into like a state of cognitive dissonance where they can't accept the fact that maybe what they've been hearing is not true. And it's like they're not willing to do the research, they're not willing to even take accountability. And it's like they try to
it runs down to it's trying to Of course, he's gonna do what a 5-year-old does. Yell and scream and do everything they can so that you don't talk about the topic. The 5-year-old, when you tell them clean your room, throw a tantrum, roll on the floor, and yell and scream, and hope that you'll forget the whole topic was about cleaning their room in the first place. But a wise person who's prudent holds them to task. In the black community, we call it walking them down. Kind of like how Kendrick walked Drake down. The same Jewish person who put on blackface, which the gentleman was trying to argue that doesn't happen. And yet we have proof and evidence of this happening. Nevertheless, Sylvester Slivers was a black man. You can be mad about it all you want. You're looking at a marble statue and saying that tells us that he's black or not. Let's look at his hair. If you want to look at this marble statue, doesn't that hair look curly to you? It does to me. Nevertheless, moving forward, whether he's black or not, to me, is really irrelevant, and that's the point. One of the points is, in my opinion, is what's sad is that I don't think white supremacists can give credit for any form of black history. I don't think. Oh, can you guys let the brother Big down there with his hand up? I didn't notice. Was one of you gentlemen can bring him up? I don't think a white supremacist has it in their nature to acknowledge a black person's contribution for anything. And the sad part is almost everything in their life is dependent on black inventions. You go in your house and click the lights on, guess what? Louis Lattimore, right? You getting on a train, guess what? The real McCoy, right? You get on your cell phone today, guess what? That digital cell phone was made by a black man who's still alive. What type of man? He'll tell you about his invention and his contribution to himself. You look at the sneaker press, or whatever you want to look at, you're going to find somewhere down the line that a black person was integral in that invention. LASIK eye surgery and countless others. If you look at health, the HeLa cell has been, you can't even measure the amount of impact that the HeLa cell has had on scientific development in the world, right? An undying cell line, for those that don't know, right? Even X-Men are influenced by black culture, as Charles Xavier and Magneto are both supposed to represent the archetypes of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So just about everything that you watch from Greek mythology as well, all these superheroes that you guys love to watch, all that started in the heart of Ethiopia. The Egyptians took it, ran with it, gave it to the next kingdom that rose, and the next kingdom that rose gave it to the next kingdom that rose. And these one God that you like, for example, the Statue of Liberty, that you love, for example, Wonder Woman, who's really just another personification of the Statue of Liberty that you love. Or how about that Starbucks coffee that got her legs bust wide open, right? That you love. All of those come from ancient Egyptian, Babylonian, and African gods and goddesses. They take upon themselves many different names. Inanna, Ishtar, Isis, Libertas, Columbia, you name it. So one thing about it is you can't separate the world from the world. You can't isolate a community and say they didn't have anything to do with history. We're not here to say that white people didn't have anything to do with history either. We understand that every nation of people contributes to this thing called humanity. All we ask is that you give us our just due when it comes to us talking about our history. You don't have to agree. It's fine. We can agree to disagree. That's cool too. But just don't shit on our history. Because at the end of the day, a lot of our history has been shit on for so long. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off track. Because the topic today is the collapse of Zionism, part 1. And the leaders of Zionism from the west to the east are being exposed. We saw the head of state of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, who essentially the ICC prosecution is calling for an arrest for war crimes, right? So this is a sign. This is a clear sign. They're going for the head of the snake. And how they plan on going forward with this action, I don't know. But I think that it symbolically represents something bigger than what it is today. You throw a rock in a lake, you get a river. So, yeah, the floor is open.
for the action because I can't really, but everything else is different, right? Even though it doesn't all, I can understand that. You know what I mean? But when you try to say you're against science, that one was the case for me, man. So I came over here to catch it. You know, I was gonna give it to you. The dude who was arguing with you earlier about that, say that you're a racist and you're against science.
I don't know. Do you remember his name?
No, man, he was just talking before you took the mic back earlier, man.
You know, y'all told right here, you know, in August, right?
Yeah, he was saying that he's talking about Zionism, like he's trying to defend Zionism.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody defending that problem.
No, but anybody know. But this is the thing, right? Anyone who's defending Zionism, right? You're going what you say, what you do, right? Like, one, you're feeling for one angle. But that's fine if that's an angle. Two, you're racist, right? Three, you're not even practicing the socialism. You know what I mean? That's one situation, right? Someone was calling you, right? But yet you want to act like you have rights to defend it, right? So you just crazy when people defending Zionism. You know what I mean? Because he had read the Zionist Elder Protocol for defending Zionism. You know what I mean? Anyone who reads, and you probably didn't read that document. Anyone who reads the Zionist, the Elders of Zionist Protocol,
Look up the protocols of science.
yes,
13%.
right. You read that document, right? And he's not racist. Never come on a lie and try to defend Zionism. No, if you read it and he's defending it, right? Then he's either racist or stupid. Because you're not getting benefit from that practice that they have. You use religion and they don't even like Christianity anyway. They're just saying, put it this way, right? The modern Christianity we have right now is just from we call it the modern Christianity. Some of them don't know, right? Zionism actually using them. See what I'm saying? They're actually using them to get to where they are, and they don't like them in that. It's also in that document. They don't
Don't
like
even like
them.
them. Don't even like them.
Exactly. Yeah, in that document they say they hate Christians, right? So they hate not just that. When organized religion is taking their money, they take the money.
In the Talmud, Jesus bring it to hell and
So that's what I'm saying, though. So if someone is defending Zionism, that person is either feeling form, which I can understand. I can sympathize with that. But if they know those documents and defending it, then that person is straight up racist and just need to admit it. And if one is racist, that's fine. Just keep it 100%. Don't try to act like you're not
let me just say this. Zionism as a whole, by definition, would not be a problem if the borders were respected. The problem comes into play when the borders not respected. Now, some people say it shouldn't exist at all there in the state, but I'm a more pragmatic person. Countries get invaded, people take more land than they should, things happen. But at some point, if we don't respect international law, then the entire world can become in crisis. That's what His Majesty talked about at the League of Nations. The importance to not only enshrine these laws, but also to be able to die in behalf of maintaining order in these laws. Because the law means nothing without somebody willing to enforce it. And so if you're going to, as a nation, sit down and sign these treaties and agree to these treaties and terms, and then tomorrow refuse and act like those terms and treaties don't matter, that's where it's problematic. As a matter of fact, I'm not even so much mad at Netanyahu for not going to the ICC if they call it, because Israel's not a member of the ICC. They're not beholden to follow their laws technically, but it would be amicable, and it would show a decent form of integrity for him to go. But nevertheless, what I am military might. And so there's not much difference in what they're doing aside from, of course, the travesties that were happening in the heart of the country, which is a whole other topic. We're talking about nationalism. Okay, so go ahead and continue. Brother Yaakov, sounds like you wanted to respond before.
All right, so there's three things. So first off, people throw this term like racism. It was coined by, I think it was either Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. One of the two coined it because someone wrote a book and it never even catched on. It was written in the 18th century. And he coined it in the 60s. And it was made for political reasons. Because again, there isn't different human races. There's only one human race. The only thing that separates us is features and melanin. That's it. So it's very disingenuous to say, oh, if you believe this book, which was written by white people, may I add, right? You're racist. Which just blows my mind. It's stupidity at its best, right? But let's push it one more. Let's push it further. Let's just push it just a little bit further. Now, again, I don't concede the fact there can be black Hebrews, original black Hebrews. Of course, there could be. And that's clear. That's clear. And I've never heard anybody on this show right now claim that all black people are Hebrews. I'm not too sure if you believe that or not, so I'm not going to sue it. Right? So I'm not against black people being Hebrews, but what I am against is, and this is their hypocrisy, what they do. They say, no, we're the true Jews. There cannot be the real white or Middle Eastern Jews or whitish complexion Jews. They're just hazards. Which is stupid. That is not DNA tests.
What you're saying is actually the black community as a whole are not disregarding or discrediting all white people from Judaism. What we are is saying that these white tribes cannot claim or take ownership of all Judaism. They've imposed ideals like you have to have a major lineage to be participating in Judaism. They've imposed ideals like if you're like in the census, you're white because you're Jewish. These concepts now are not reflecting the whole Jewish diaspora, which is much greater than just Caucasian. That's where the confusion arises with the Rasta man. At least I can speak for us. We're not against white Jews. We know that, for example, Orthodox Jews stand against Zionism, and therefore, in that regard, we are of one mind. Do we agree with all their practices and beliefs? More than likely not. But we both have the same Bible, and we also both stand against Zionism. Of course. Why not? Because Judaism is based on a practice. Even in the Bible, when Joshua went to invade his enemies, he talked to Ramah, who was not Israel, who was not practicing Judaism, and yet she conceded, gave Joshua information, and then came into the heart of Israel and begat some of the greatest patriarchs we know in the Bible. So what we know is Moses also was with an Ethiopian woman, right? Zipporah. And the word of God says, are you not like the Ethiopians unto me, O Israel? Letting us know unequivocally that Israel is the people who have a heart for Almighty God. Judaism is a practice that Almighty God ordered or commanded his kingdom.
So me being a Jew, I need to talk about that.
Okay, let me close this real quick, Doc. Okay, this is very simple. You are what we call what is your definition? Are you Sephardi, Mizrahi? Are you
Mizrahi, Sephardi?
Okay, cool. So that being the case, I cannot mean Germanic Jew, correct?
Yes, it's accepted.
No, it doesn't mean you settled. Excuse me, Reggie. It doesn't mean you just settled from Germany. You assimilated in Germany.
Yeah, so we
that's a fact. Some Jewish people are descended from German as well. Correct or incorrect? Okay, so there we go. So wait a minute. This means that you have goyim in you. Correct or incorrect? Okay. Notice how you agree, and so you just exposed two problems. The larger amount of people on Earth than just your 3 primary or however many primary European designees that you have. And also, while you're claiming domination, you and your own people are having goyim inside of you while discrediting other communities who practice Judaism in spirit and in truth. If Whoopi Goldberg practices Judaism and she identifies as a Jewish woman, then the Jewish community, I don't care how many major lineages they have to identify her as Jewish, as a follower of Almighty. For you're born into it through the spirit, not just the blood. The blood is what we would call a promise, but the confirmation of the promise is in the spirit. For we know, according to the word of God, that Esau gave up his birthright for a bowl of soup. So yeah, he was of the blood, but it was the spirit that Almighty gave him the crown of love and achievement. So this is what the faith of Judaism really is, and that's where the African spirituality that we brought to Europeans and they've taken and claimed it was their own, which is okay. We're not here to condemn Europeans, for we ourselves are also European. You said you're Ashkenazi, correct?
So, but
Right. Did you say you're Ashkenazi? So yes, you have European in your blood.
no, that's you're missing. You're totally
Right.
missing the point.
That's
Ashkenazi
where you're not having integrity.
Ashkenazi doesn't mean they're European. It means they settled in Europe. They settled.
Right.
That's a
I
different.
asked you earlier if you have Germanic in you. You said yes.
No, I didn't. I said maybe.
Oh, see, here we go. Maybe.
Replay it. So
Okay.
I'm not
So
lying.
wait a second. So you're making an argument on maybe prayer. Come on, man. Make it make sense. I don't even use you as a designation. Listen, I'm keep breaking you down. I don't need to use you as a designation. I can use 100,000 other examples, 100 million people. So that being the case, Ashkenazi person who's born in what we know is Israel today, but the Germanic in his line is still claiming that he's Jewish based on his mother. Just like a black person from Nigeria can do the same. His mother is coming from the major lineage of the community. This is an example of Beta Israel, who was flown in on our in 1992. These people are not genetically European, nor are they Caucasian. They may be designated as Caucasian, but as far as skin complexion, they're not white. So, what do we call these people? They're Jewish. So, this is what I'm trying to explain to you is you can't co-opt something and then claim that it's all yours, and then also discriminate against other people claiming that it's not theirs and that they're not worthy of being considered Jewish. The Jewish diaspora is much larger than white or black. It doesn't. That's why we don't specify it as a race. We specify it as an ethnic.
We spoke with you, right? You would agree.
Ethnic group is the more.
But it's not spoke with you when we come out of Egypt, right?
Yes,
So, yeah, but I'm hoping that I was going to but so yeah, it's related to Yahweh, right? This is the problem. Just like what Ras said. Just like what Ras said, right? God or whatever. So,
no, you got to the bottom. Come on up.
okay. So, just like they said, they want to claim nobody else can. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, you can't claim that everybody have a problem. Carry them to claim everybody have a problem. If they claim nobody have a problem, you know what I'm saying? That's the problem, right? Now, look at Islam. When you say it doesn't mean that you are on thing. You should be right, talking about. I'm going to come to you, and I said 9 o'clock. Go to 9 o'clock. So it's already problematic when you say Jewish. Now, if you want to say you have original people and you have converts, what's wrong with that? Right? But when someone converts is acting like you're the original, that's a problem. And that's what we see here. We see the converts modeling around like you're the original. I don't
even know Hebrew language. You just said Ishmael. It's not. That's
bro.
Richard, you're mad, but he tells you the truth, though.
We're talking about right? Being right, grown up, right? And we know that, of course, we know about that time, right? So we think you know what I mean? We know that. So we just say, but at the end of the day, right? We're going to play that. Right? It's just, we're going to on the track. We're going to play that. In the original, right? Then you need to be all the curves. That's in the Bible. You're going to take up that every task. So when we go look in the Bible, when we look at every task that they're trying to pick up, the people who are the converts, right? Doesn't that they are what they're saying that they are. So what's the problem? Well, like I said, you know, we look in Jewish religion dictionary, they tell you that some of them is convert. Again, like what Brother Yaakov said, he said people going around and have a problem. He said, nobody have a problem. People who are converts. But the thing, when the converts kick everybody out like what they always do, Luther and Luther, when they act like they didn't change stuff, right? And now they go to the Holy Book, do the same bloody thing. Go in the Holy Book, hijack the book, and then take the Holy Book and say we're the original and the others are impossible. Bro, okay? And truth doesn't need me or you to prove it.
right. And this is just what causes war. It causes war. It causes war. It causes war. You see what's going on in the East.
Let me answer Rambo. Rambo, let me ask you, right? Is when you know your hijack stuff, hey, of course the hijack can do the brother make a comment about what you know when you said that are you telling me that black people that's here and they can convert, right? Which was a crazy statement for young people today.
No, I said you're calling. No. I'm a big black.
Bro, young people.
No, I'm from white.
Let him explain what he's saying and try to say so we can see if he tells the truth. What are you saying?
What did you say, young people?
I said you're insulting black people. I said look in the comments and spell this. I said you're insulting black people. You know, stupid that they lost their history. That someone's that bad.
You didn't say that. You probably said that to each other.
Well, hold on. Analyze, even if you said that.
No, I said you're saying
You're insulting black people.
No, I said you're saying it. You see the point? I said you're saying it. No, I'm saying you said it. I said you're calling black people stupid and ignorant because they lost their history and got conquered. That's what I'm saying. You're doing a disservice.
No, you brought up the idea that they were lost their history and that they were trying to.
No, because you mentioned that you said
and they were trying to blackify everything. Pretty much. Wasn't that what you were saying, Brother Doc?
you said we're not going to take
Brother Rambo, what do you think? Herman, you are innocent bystander. What did you think?
all against
Herman, you there?
all against me. So what's the point?
No, it ain't about us.
Yeah, listen, I do not lie. I hate lies. And if you're correct, I will yield to that point. But you haven't been honest. I said
Okay,
again.
do us a favor. Just to clarify, because I'm willing to hear what you have to say. And if you don't feel that that's what you're trying to say and was misrepresented, just please write what you have to say on the topic in the comments so we have full understanding. Welcome back, Bridget. These things. So, the collapse of Zionism, part one.
I think you would have to say if the African nation was so great, why didn't they stop the European powers?
Because like, you said, why did they destroy them so easily? Right. And what's funny, thank you for recollecting our thought on that, Brother Rambo, and Brother Dodge bringing that up. What's interesting about it, like I had touched you, and by responding, this is the confirmation that you said this, I responded by saying that Africa was one of the last places that these people conquered, and that they had put a plan together in the late 1800s. In 1884,
I said Africa.
because they were dumb.
I said, why was it Africa was easily conquered? Why?
And you were assuming that we were dumb enough to think that you're not saying that because Africa was dumb. What you were insinuating is that Africa was dumb, and that's what, and I
I'm insinuating you're feeling that.
so easily, sir.
Oh my God, I need to listen to stuff that real. Yeah, I said you're insinuating
This
that.
dude is obviously they have integrity, bro. I mean, you know what's funny? I don't think anybody on the stage is even trying to get at you on this point. We're simply telling you exactly what you told us less than approximately 15 minutes ago.
Even Eddie agrees with me.
I'd love to hear Eddie's opinion, but I don't think Eddie has the cojones to do anything more than comment.
Oh, because when it just goes against you, slave people, you slag them off and put them down. I don't understand why. Why is there no fairness?
I noticed you continue to attack me instead of the topic. I noticed that you continue to use rhetoric instead of scholarship, and I noticed that you try to avoid being cornered with the truth, which is sad. The truth is the truth, whether or not you think you're getting cornered. Is it the truth, though?
Using the will, that's not true.
We're not imposing anything. You have free will, sir.
So you said I said something. I'm saying to you, I'm happy to bring up the replay and we can go through it word for word.
You don't need to say I walked it all the way down. I responded with, and I quote,
The audio.
Europe came to conquer Africa. Africa was one of the last continents that they were able to subdue. So when you try to make the insinuation that Africa was easily conquered, and I broke
No,
that
you said,
no,
that's stupid to use our heritage to take it from us, claim it as yours. That's what you said, and I said, well, hang on a minute, you're doing yourself a disservice by saying that you stole your heritage and you lost it, you didn't enough about it recently, you come to find it in 1970 Chicago. So my point is, again, you lie, and just, and it's disgusting. How can I take you seriously? And why would you always keep lying?
Say something about it.
So I'm happy for you to play it back, and if I said it, then I will retake my words, but I'm happy for you to
Now we got another by free will of choice, what we call a witness, to testify who ain't got nothing to do with it.
Do you know what bias is?
How do I know this man is biased? Is he biased? Is he black and old?
You tell me. See, you're like that. I didn't do that. You pointed out his blackness.
You pointed out his bias. What was the bias about it?
So is he
What
saying that
makes you have that
doctrine,
bias, sir?
color is a field, doctrine is a field.
I'm trying to figure out what you built your evidence on. It's biased. Please explain that.
And obviously he's a member of your group, so he's been there
He's
for a
not a
long
member
time.
of this room. Never seen him in here ever. Never.
It could be like he works for a member. It's a house. You say sit down here.
So now, what we're doing is we can let him speak for himself. And then we can again clarify.
This is
Give
a
the dignity of hearing what he has to say. Free speech and his response, and you completely sidestepped it. Like I said before, with benign neglect, using willful ignorance, right?
That's what you're doing right now. Play the audio.
I don't need to play the audio, sir. We all have to testify to this, so it's cool. I'm not going to reason with you any longer. If you either continue forward, we can agree to disagree. Okay, go ahead. Anybody else have any questions, concerns, reservations? I would love to hear from you. The conversation is the colossal sign is a part one. University schools. Notice how he has to go down, and then he's in the conversation again through the comments. I find that fascinating. You know how a kid throws a tantrum and expects everybody to stop and don't care for their emotion. But in reality, as a leader, you gotta take them by the hand and walk them back into the room. Because they get lost sometimes in their emotions, losing their God-given ability to think with ration and reason. That's okay. Sounds good. We love you when you wait. Yeah, cool. Yeah, yes,
They just can't deal with they can't deal with the deception and the reality. You know what I mean? So instead of just saying, you know what, probably my forefathers told me lie, and I have to go back to the drawing board. Most of them they can't rush it like that. They run that like grandma and grandpa been living us life for hundreds of years, right? And these Negroes who just learned to read in the last 200 years is now schooling me on my history. They can't deal with it. And bro, you gotta be logical. Sometimes you have to put yourself in your shoes, right? Yo, sometimes you have to put yourself in some white man shoes, right? If you used to running shit all these years, right? And then the world start fall apart around you, and you don't have the answers anymore because you used to have the answers. It's going to take a very humble human being to come to that, right? And some of them will not humble themselves and come to that. You know what I mean? The only way someone can humble themselves and come to that is if they're seeking total and perfect righteousness. And if you're not about seeking total and perfect righteousness, you can't humble yourself. Brother Jacob is regurgitating ancestors' deceptions. Right? That's all he been doing, regurgitating ancestors' deception. You know what I mean? The brother just need to go back to the giant board.
Man, look, and then this thing, I'm like, yeah, I'm not listening from Jeremy. Okay, buddy. I mean, I'm looking at, okay, this is what I'll say, right? If you're not listening from Germans, that was very interesting. Like, that's extraordinarily interesting to say that you're asking out. But I'm not listening from Germans. That's Germans not in your blood. Really? But you can see, notice how you said, well, kind of, before. Like, oh, well, kind of. Remember, now you say, no. Remember earlier, he was like, yeah. So, okay. My thing is this. Europeans have mixed with Germans historically. There's nothing wrong with that. And if they have an offspring, what about the offspring? Is he going? Right. So there you go. Like I said, that you, or I can use 100,000 more examples of people with European blood who would be considered descended from German, but as a mother who's Jewish. So they identify themselves as Jewish. And what is wrong with that? Nothing. But now that goes against what a Goyim would be, right? So these definitions gotta be resolved. Like the brother Doc said, you gotta go back to the drawing board and figure this shit out. So that it makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easily taken apart, you know what I'm saying, and presented as falsehoods and lies and propaganda, which really just magic. It's magic. It's an illusion that's been painted, like the brother Doc said, ish. And that's so crazy when you just listen to the word telling you everything, Rich. And now you get called anti-Semitic and extremist for giving people historical facts. And then you get the 5-year-old come in the comment and go and do what a 5-year-old do. Okay? Hands free. It's all good though. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate your feedback today. We appreciate you coming to the room. We appreciate you sharing. We don't appreciate the opinion, but and we have not yet heard scholarship. We cannot attest for it. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody is welcome to speak. The brother Ramon came up on his own accord. Nobody called him or asked him to come up here, and he gave his unbiased perspective. He may have come in with his own way of thinking, but that doesn't mean he's biased to the conversation at hand. He could have been very objective and seen some of your perspective. I don't know. But what I do know is he came up of his own will and gave a testimony that you, sir, need to have some humility and need to take accountability for some of your community's actions and for Zionism as a whole. But we know, what we pray that that may happen and manifest one day. But it's on you. So you and know, like, I'm not here to judge you as a person. We can't judge the fruit of the tree. We can see what's happened historically. So we can't sit there and say, oh, well, they've honored these. We can't unequivocally, we can't say at all that they've honored treaties and orders that have been made and established. We can't say that. And every time we get on another path, we have to go back to history. I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, Hermes, welcome back. Did you want to share? Let's move on. Because I think Hollywood is also a major part of Zion that or can be explored. There's many other topics to Zion. You can get into banking, finance, business, education, pharmaceutical, and you can see a very strong presence and influence in each one of these organizations. So, the topic today, the collapse of Zionism, part one, leaders exposed. We would love to hear from you. If you got any questions, concerns, or resolutions on the topic, the floor is open. The mic is hot. Love you. Let's. Yeah, I always wonder, as far as Beta Israel and the state of Israel now, y'all can sit there in the comments. Do you believe that they've been treated fairly in Israel, Beta Israelites, since they've flown in 1990? Just put your comment in the comment section. Interesting. Been a good conversation. You know, I'm like putting together something in my house. Y'all want to continue? More than welcome to. Anybody want to contribute? Let me know. I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes and then we'll move on. See if we keep the room open or not. Let's. Solid answers down to millions. What is it? Was that you, Herman?
Yes.
Yeah, what did you say?
I was listening to the colonizers, and I'm glad they got moved down to the audience.
No, I honestly didn't feel like we just moved anybody. Somebody violated it. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come back up if you want. I don't just move people out of the room. I give them about 2 or 3 times and then, you know, like, generally it'll be because you both are, you know what I mean? Yeah, welcome back. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, you look right, so let's do this again. Let's try it amicable to each other, yeah? Right, so before we get hang on.
And I
question to you is, what are you aware of Benjamin's or Benny's ultimate strategy there with Palestinians?
You said that you're not.
What is the ultimate strategy that Benny has there in Palestine? What's the objective? I mean, they've been fighting this war. It's going to be a year anniversary.
Are you Palestinian?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Are you Palestinian?
No,
Who are you?
I'm an earthling.
American, yeah, American. I don't mean like ethnicity, but like, so I understand your political, geographical ideology. So I don't know. I do think innocent women and children should die on both sides. I do think that. So I don't know. I just don't know the answer. It's very complicated. I don't agree with some of the stuff Israel does, and I don't agree with stuff, none of the stuff Palestine does. So it's like, and I'm obviously going to be a little bit biased. So I'm Jewish, but the point is that it's not good. War's not good for anybody. I understand that people die, like innocent people get that. But imagine what war would be like 60 years is going to be. A lot worse, right? So that's the point. Like, I don't know. It's complicated. But I don't hate Palestinians or nothing like that. We're all people. We're all humans. That's what we've got to understand.
Hey, so I got a question for Jacob. So Jacob, are you a practicing? Are you a practicing Jew or just saying you don't practice?
So my ethnicity is Jewish. I don't really do religion as much. I'm not really religious.
Okay, so alright, see you there. Yo, Rap. Most of y'all go hard at you. So that's the problem, right? Right? Is if someone is a convert, and again, y'all go, don't shoot your Jewish just everybody there. That's all I'm convert.
It doesn't say we're converts. So you're wrong. My family tree is in the Tanakh. You understand that, right? And everybody's accepted this.
There is convert.
I'm not a convert.
Hold on. I'm not saying, right? This is where we get there. That's why I say you need to go back to the drawing board. I am not saying, this is where you're trying to put me and say that. I did not say you may not have kind of meaning, but I didn't say that. You say that, so I didn't say that. Okay? What I'm saying, and if you don't know this, before you try to argue me, you need to go research and come back. What I'm saying, there's a lot of people in the Tanakh that is convert. Now, right, just say that you're not practicing something, right? So I'm saying to you, if you're a convert, meaning you're not the original one, and you're not practicing it, you have no right to say it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where the problem comes in. No,
But I am convert.
Listen. If you come to England, right? Say your parents come from England, right? Yes. And you come to England, right? And you did not take you have your stamp. That's what they call it in England. They don't call it green card like America, right? You got your stamp, right? You got your stamp, but you got your permanent stay, right? So in order to become a British or American citizen, right? You have to know about the country to get your citizenship. So you have to be practicing. In other words, you're just a green card holder, or you're in England or Canada, you just have a stamp of residency. So you right now, like a naturalized or a green card holder in the religion, you're not practicing it. So how are you going to argue with someone and say, oh, you're not? You have no damn right.
Because my
Practicing what?
that's
No,
why
and
they're not
citizen people by area and people by. Let me ask you a question. Who was King Herod in the Bible?
the king of Jerusalem, right? Oh, that is right.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Is Herod a responsible?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, all right. So if you agree on that, why you argue my point, brother?
Because from my position comes from
King Herod is hold on, brother.
No. You need to get excessive. You finish. Just prove my point. It's very
Oh, you should go from Jesse. Joshua, you said things go by Jesse.
No. Your family tree in rest.
You just proved that you're lying.
No, I did the rest. Fuck that.
Right,
So,
because
let me say what
Israel, King Herod is not the king of Israel. Yes, King Herod, he actually, who is he? You turn around and say, King Herod is the king of Israel. No, he's not.
my family tree first proposed.
No, the point is you don't have enough humility.
This is why the
The point is you don't have enough humility to apologize that you're wrong. Brother, that's what you think. You be like, oh, I was wrong. Yeah,
Exactly.
if you don't know, if you don't know. Did you know the answer to that question?
Again,
The point is, look, now you back onto your shit. No integrity. father. You're not even practicing Judaism, bro. You see me? I say. So you claiming the inheritance and you getting the fringe benefits between one and the work the inheritance have you or call you to do. So nah, brother, that's crazy. And then on top of that, you don't even know the history. You see how I brought up Ashkenazi. You say, oh, I might have some European blood in you. Okay, well, if you have some, brother, how you claiming the entire statehood through blood, and yet you have foreign blood. You have blood in you. Anyway, welcome everybody that just came in. Go ahead and add a few more people in if y'all want to stir up the pot. Anybody got any questions, concerns, or reservations?
But then I do have one concern. And so my concern is this. As a non-Jewish person, if I go to Jerusalem to visit, let's say, a Christian church, because I was raised as a Roman Catholic. I'm no longer a Roman Catholic, but, so if I go there and I go to pray in a Christian church and I come out and they see me come out of this church in Jerusalem, right? Let's just say I'm in Jerusalem. The question is, will I get spit on?
You saying if you went there yourself to Israel to pray in the church?
Yeah.
Is it a practice for their people to spit on the people that do that? That'll consider Goyim or Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed hostile actions similar to that, where outrageous, slanderous things are spoken and hatred, a venomous hatred for Christians. There, in some regards, I've seen footage of that. So I know it's a thing. I don't know how much of a thing it is there, but I would assume from what I saw that it's a larger problem than let off. So I hear what you're saying. The Israelites, like I was talking about before, went through similar things being in Israel. And while I don't know their disposition now, and I highly doubt I can speak for their community, or one person in their community can speak for all of their community, I can say that there is a history of them being abused and vaccinated and discriminated against in many different ways. And I don't think they'd be out there petitioning it if it was anything otherwise. That being said, because they're being discriminated against, it's turning their hearts back to Rastafarianism, and this newfound wave of belief is spreading, and it's all season, it's ripening. And I find it fascinating that even through musicians like Bob Marley, His Imperial Majesty is revealed to the world in some way, shape, or form, be it they know it or not. People probably went to the Rasta concerts out here, seeing Haile Selassie's picture on the backdrop and didn't even know who it was. Probably never seen his picture, couldn't have told you who he was or what his name was or his story or anything. Don't know what Bob Marley believes. They hear Rastafarian, they think dreadhead with smoking ganja. They don't realize Rastafarian is a faith and a way of life. They don't realize that we have a strong, rich history that is, without question, amicable and virtuous. So, that being the case, I find it fascinating that Beta Israel was sent there to Israel while His Majesty told them not to go. They went anyway, and many of them were mistreated. And so we hope that situation has been stemmed and rectified. But from what I know now, I have not heard any news of that. I've seen some points though where they've worked with the government there in Israel and done public ceremonies and occasions to show the fraternity between these nations. So I respect that, you know what I mean? And I hope to encourage more of that. These things trust.
I have a quick question. What exactly was talking to a couple of rabbis.
Okay. Boy, the Hebrew word that translates to nations or peoples, and Jewish mission, it typically refers to non-Jewish individuals or nations. Here are some key points about the term. Its biblical origin, term appears in the Hebrew Bible, etc. Cultural use in modern Hebrew and Yiddish. Goy is commonly used to refer to a non-Jewish person. Plural form goyim. This does not carry a neutral connotation, but can also be used pejoratively depending on the context. And last but not least, the usage of goy or goyim can vary significantly based on context and tone. While some may use it casually or neutrally, others might perceive it as derogatory. It's essential to consider the intent and setting when discussing or using these terms. It's very similar to the Japanese term daiji. The Japanese term daiji is also used quite frequently. It can be used from a derogatory perspective or just in regular conversation. So yeah, does that suffice your question, Brother Urban?
Yes, I was talking to a couple of rabbis the past couple of months for a while, and one rabbi was explaining to me that one of the religious books, I forget which one, you might know, but there's a Jewish religious book that basically refers to the Goya as animal-like, so they don't consider us humans.
Well, I think context is important. I've heard the term dogs be used. Even Christ himself used the term dogs. But the dogs is referencing the domestication of the animal that's outside of the house. Meaning, Beta Israel is a house unto the Lord, and it is sacred and set apart. That's why Abraham left Canaan. But while it's sacred and set apart, those that are outside are dogs. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. They are dogs because they are ignorant to the ways of the Lord. Therefore, they roam to and fro like dogs, susceptible to eating their own shit if left to it. It does not necessarily connotate tone of racism per se, because any race can be considered a goyim, but it does and can be used ambiguously from a derogatory perspective or simply a perspective of identifying a foreigner. So, yeah, I think that should speak to the heart of the matter. Yeah, a goyim is definitely can be, and it does get used in negative ways a lot. And I thought at length about when Christ used the term. And Christ, when he used the term, he was actually testing this woman's faith to see if this term was enough to get her to still move forward in her faith in Almighty. Does she know me? Is what he was asking this question. For if she knows me, she knows that I am not considering her a dog, but simply testing her faith. Those that are outside, of course, is used by this what we call the priests of the time, the rabbis of the time would use these terms, and they would be used obviously quite often derogatorily by them. So I think this is a little bit of jest towards them and lingo of the time. Just thanks. For those that don't know, this saying in the Bible, I'm referencing when Christ told the woman, she asked for food, and she said, "Is there any food for the dog or kind of food?" And he said, "The food is for the nation of Israel, not the dogs." And then she said, "But even dogs eat the scraps that fall from the master's table." And so this was fascinating because what did she really come for? Because right after that, what did Jesus do? Did he heal her? You guys know the story? If anybody
Yeah.
Well, the question is, when Jesus went to this Canaanite woman who he called and referenced her as a dog, after this, did he heal her?
Yes, what I did it. And what's referring to her, I guess he said the dog that he's talking about.
Now think about this. If he healed her, what are the crumbs? Her faith was small, and yet it yielded a lot. So the crumbs on the table was his healing.
Because he had so many different ministries. There's anything in soul like that.
Exactly.
Go different to our like that. Yeah. Kind of thing.
Exactly. That's why I say it's like a joke, like an inside joke, like, you know, go ahead with it.
Oh man, I worked on those more guys.
No, you good, brother. So yeah, this exchange, to me, the crumbs on the table, what is she talking about? She's talking about the wisdom of the Lord, and she's showing you how important what his speeches are, and that she's come to collect the crumbs, for he's feeding the nation every time he talks to them, prophesies. And then she gets on top of that the bonus of the crumbs which she's been eating from under the table. Remember, dogs sneak crumbs from under the table, but really the good master gives the dogs crumbs anyway and feeds the dog, just like his majesty woke up every morning, fed his dog. So and remember how much the Lord loved dogs. As a matter of fact, it's another important point in the concept of dogs. Some American ideals may hold the concept of a dog from a negative derogatory term, where in which, from Almighty's eyes, the dog is loyal and never evil. As long as you love a dog, they're gonna love you faithfully. So the concept of dogs is what I'm trying to show you can be interpreted in many ways, and how this woman interpreted a dog term obviously was not from such a negative perspective that she was going to say, "What did you just call me?" But instead, she was like, "Even the dogs eat crumbs from the table." I like that parable, and I felt that to be very impactful exchange between these two, and the term dog once again, so that I could speak to the heart of the matter, or Goyu, and these kind of terms were used sometimes in jest, sometimes as a wicked, use, and sometimes just as a term of the time, like how color would have been used in 1960s versus today, how sensitive would be to call someone color, etc. Great question, Brother Hermes. Do you have any more? I'm gonna call you my official pastor. I'm gonna hand you this room. Yeah, man. Welcome on, Brother Blue. Welcome. Anybody else got any questions concerning reservation about the topic? Today, we're talking about classic Zionists, part one. How Zionists have affected Hollywood, to media, to pharmaceutical, to the occult, and more. Once again, I will make the distinction now. The Empress requested before between Zionist and Jewish, as we are not here attacking Jews, nor completely attacking and condemning Zionism. We're actually analyzing that. I do not agree with Zionism. I don't believe in the state of Israel as far as like the occupation of that territory, but I also, in the same token, respect the nation as a formidable nation who has human rights inalienable to them as well. And I would hope that the 1967 border resolutions could be eventually adopted in a two-state system in
such an enormous degree that it's hard to not have that as a first cause effect that divides and splits protesters and causes basically a type of a more disorganized backlash rather than basically the US policy, domestic policy on bringing up the Palestinian issue to disparate small groups by legislation.
Bye.